Hi, everybody. This is the baseball hype, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host on, and this is another visit to the insane asylum known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha-ha. They're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha, to the funny fun.
And welcome back to the baseball hunt. Hopefully you like this video. Hit that subscribe button. We're now taking a visit. Seems like the weekly visit that we must make to the Nervous Hospital, known as WFAN. Now, I will say this. On Saturday, they had an amazing day, which is basically the Mets Fan Fest. They hadn't had the Fan Fest in a while. I forgot that they had the Mets Caravan for a long time. But this was like a big spectacular they had at Citi Field. And, of course, they invited WFAN there. And I guess some of the hosts were there, like Spaz Licata, a.k.a. Sal Licata, and, of course, the geriatric known as Joe Benigno, which they will be the subjects of this video. But what's interesting is for the past year or so, the WFAN has had, well, really for the last 35 years, they've been at war with the New York Mets and with the Met fans. Their passive-aggressive comments and constant attacks that they constantly place on us. They always seem to know, they always try to pretend that they're like us. They're not like us. They're not. They're the enemy of the people. They really are. They are really the enemy of the people. Remember, they have a mantra about the Mets. Whatever the Mets do is wrong, and whenever they do it right, it's still wrong. Now, WFAN has had a war, in particular the mid-morning show. Brandon Tierney and Sal Licata, and a.k.a. the Coconut Head and the Spaz show, they have had a war against Pete Alonso for the past year. They've pushed him out, and they have defamed him and said horrible things about him. I have plenty of clips to play you. I can play them at any point. How they made up all kinds of stuff about him. They never give any detail. Sal Licata, who's also an employee of SNY, says nothing about him begging the Mets to trade him. The Coconut Head, Brandon Tierney, was begging the Mets to trade him before last season. So they like to pretend that what they say in the past doesn't happen. Last year when the Mets hired Carlos Mendoza, Sal Licata destroyed the Mets. Now, let me read you this one thing, which has Keith McPherson. He's total lightweight, total diversity and equity inclusion hire they have here. If you don't know, the New York Jets are probably the worst organization in sports right now. They're being run so poorly for so long. They always seem to hire the worst kind of coaches. They always hire coaches that have no experience. And when they hire coaches that do have experience, it's bad experience. And the Jets do everything wrong. They really do. They do everything wrong. Now, McPherson had said, let me read you the headline from Odyssey. Odyssey's been putting more stuff out. So I guess they haven't gotten the memo that your host read. They might have got rid of the intern that was paying attention. But this is from Odyssey. Keith, Aaron Glenn hiring feels similar to what Mets do with Carlos Mendoza. Now, Aaron Glenn's the new head coach of the Jets. And if you talk about a team that always gets it wrong, the Jets always get it wrong, no matter what it is. Especially when it comes to hiring their coaches. Let me just go to we'll just skip. And this is a McPherson talking about Aaron Glenn. So much of the conversation, same old Jets, so much of the conversation this week is, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results. Stop yourself. This is not the same. Oh, really? For Keith, the Glenn hiring feels more like what the Mets brought to Queens last year and their first-year manager who turned out to be the perfect fit. Now, this is the funniest thing I've heard. This is similar to Carlos Mendoza, right? You had no idea what Mendoza was going to be like, what he was going to do. It's easy to believe that the Jets are going to be miserable, that they made a mistake again. But when I look at what Carlos Mendoza was able to do his first year on the job, of course, there was a learning curve. Look at everything he had to deal with. A terrible start. He had to talk to the media every night and stay positive, stay even keeled. That's what I love about Carlos Mendoza. This guy's not showing you anything. He's not showing you that they're struggling. I wouldn't mention. McPherson had called the hiring of Carlos Mendoza as sloppy seconds. That everything the Mets were trying to do is what the Yankees had done. And he's very disrespectful. But he destroyed the Mets when they hired him. He doesn't say this in this clip at all. At all. Now let's get to some of the crux of some of the things that we talk about here in this video. And this is from Spaz Licata. It's all from Odyssey, except for the last thing. Sal, Mets fans need to get over Pete Alonso, who did plenty of his own to lead to likely breakup. Now, I mentioned this. They've been trying to run him out of town. They tried to run him out of town since August of 2023. And that's Alonso, that's Licata and Brandon Tierney. As Pete Alonso remains unsigned, now reportedly moving in the direction of a potential deal with the Blue Jays, that doesn't seem to be true. Sal Licata says it's time for Mets fans to move on. Well, they were moving on before this. I mean, they would have ripped apart the whole entire Mets season in 2024. But listen to that. Quote, Mets fans need to get over Pete Alonso. Mets put out a very good offer, the best offer people get. I think it's just time to move on. Let it go. My God, enough already with the Pete Alonso stuff. Mets made an offer, he didn't want it. That's it. Let it go. How this is against the Mets, I don't understand it, Spaz said. I got news for you. The Mets tried to bring Pete back multiple times. You want the Mets to go to the extent when nobody else is doing it? It makes no sense. A lot of things happen here that Pete is at fault for, not the Mets. Now, he does, of course, give you detail. Maybe he gave detail, but again, Sal Licata is fake. He's a phony. And to be honest with you, on the air, okay? He's been attacking this player for over a year and a half. But then on SNY, everything's sunshine and rainbows, because the audience is very different. The audience for WFAN is toxic. Toxic Met fans and they're Yankee fans. And they hate the Mets. There are so many self-hating Met fans. And you saw it on display at the ballpark on Saturday when they were booing Steve Cohen and booing David Stearns. I want to mention this again about David Stearns. He will do what's right. He's not going to listen to the fans. He's just not going to. He showed that in Milwaukee. He will not bend. He will not bend. He will not bend to any kind of peer pressure, any fan pressure. He will not, and he'll do it with a smile. He don't care. And he'll keep smiling. He's making money. He doesn't care. He's got a job to do. And Steve Cohen, he's not going to bend. That's for damn sure. And finally in this video, probably the one person at the radio station that your host doesn't like at all. I haven't liked him for 30 years, and this is Joe Benigno. Joe Benigno is probably the dumbest guy at the radio station. I wonder if he ever figured out that that picture of Caitlyn Jenner was Bruce Jenner back in the day. I don't know. Because there is a clip of him oogling over Caitlyn Jenner, not realizing that it was, Bruce Jenner. But so there's not a lot of brain cells working there. And it has nothing to do with him being older now. But Benigno is the king of bad takes. This is a guy that will swings from one extreme to the other extreme, and with no clue in between. And you're going to say, that's me. Well, it is. But it's the truth. And, of course, there's nobody at the radio station that calls this insanity out like they used to. Because Imus in the Morning used to do that. He used to call them out all the time. All the time. But let me read you what he had to say. This was during the week. It's from Awful Announcing. Not all from Odyssey, but the Awful Announcing. There's no better title to read. There's no better website to read stuff from WFAN like Awful Announcing. That's advertising itself. Joe Benigno claims Steve Cohen lacks feel for Mets fan base amid Pete Alonso drama. I am beyond livid, bro. Okay. All right. Let's see what this geriatric has to say. Oh, the pain, bro. The pain. Oh, the pain. I'm in terrible, terrible pain. Somebody help me. Sorry. That's a different reference to something else. That's the signature opening of a Benigno rant. Though this time we're not talking about his colorful Manscaped ad reads, I don't know what that means. The longtime WFAN host, who once jokingly claimed he caught COVID from the New York Jets' ineptitude, hasn't exactly caught the fever for the other source of his sports misery, the New York Mets. He complains all the time. He was complaining last year. These guys, they do nothing but piss, bitch, and moan. So many things that are more important in life than this nonsense. I mean, really complaining. And then people online begging the Mets to fire David Stearns, which is funny, because WFN last year wanted him fired. The Mets are coming off an improbable season, riding hard on great vibes, and just made a splash by signing Juan Soto to a record-breaking and a very stressful contract, according to Steve Cohen, at least with the negotiations. Yet Benigno's acting as if Steve Cohen, strapped with the deepest pockets in the sport and a commitment to honoring the team's history by retiring the numbers of franchise legends, is somehow tarnishing the legacy of his beloved Mets. It's all because of one player. And if Pete Alonso isn't back in orange and blue next season, there might be hell to pay. You know what it is, folks? If this happens, it's more content for my show. More content for this channel. Quote, do I want Pete back? Of course. Ranted Benigno during a recent WFAN spot. The boy genius, this is how nasty they are. The boy genius Stearns. Now, let me give you a little idea of his resume. Omar Minaya hired him. Okay? He went on to work for Cleveland. I think Mark Shapiro or Chernoff hired him. He went to Houston, and he was there when they built that team up. And then he went to Milwaukee, and he was the general manager. He developed players like Corbin Burns. He traded for Christian Yelich. Now, I would mention, I forgot to mention this in other videos. He has not traded. He's not had one big trade since he's been here with the Mets in the first year. He's not traded one prospect yet. So all the prospects that the Mets have had and have developed over the last 3 years are still here. So he has not traded anybody away. So they said that they were going to develop this farm system, and they have not moved anybody. They haven't moved anybody. And I don't expect them to do that anytime soon. Let me get back to this dope. But let's be honest, he's smarter than everybody in the freaking room. Doesn't want him back. And the guy that I blame is the owner. I thought Steve Cohen had a feel for the fan base, okay? And now you know what they're pulling now with us. Oh, Vlad Guerrero. We're going to get Vlad Guerrero. You know what? Screw Vlad Guerrero. I want my guy. Let me tell you something, folks. They're not getting Vladimir Guerrero. Because Guerrero doesn't want to be a New York Met. I would be shocked if he's a Met next year. That's not happening. Because if Alonso is that type and Guerrero's similar to that, they want athletic guys. Stearns wants athletic guys. You want to know what kind of team he wants? See what they have in Milwaukee. That'll tell you what kind of team he wants. But of course, more money. Of course, spend more money on better players. The Mets reportedly offered Alonso a 3-year deal. We know about that. Then they talk about Guerrero Jr. As for Benigno, he couldn't care less. He just wants his guy back. I'm tired of it, he continued. Okay, here's this bullshit. This is bullshit, okay? From Tom's, he brings up the history of his life. His life. He brings up his life. This is the one thing I've noticed when everybody comes in here. These are the worst kind of accounts that I deal with. Is when people tell me how long they've been a fan. And they'll give me their life's history. I'm surprised they don't give me their date of birth. They don't give me their social security number, their address where they live, what their blood type is. This is a typical old-timer. And they throw out this. You don't have to be a Mets fan, asshole. You don't have to be a Mets fan. I'm talking about Benigno. I'm tired of it. From Tom Seaver to Darryl Strawberry to Ray Knight to Kevin Mitchell to Daniel Murphy to Zach Wheeler to David Cohen to Rusty Staub. I have lost every guy that I've had on my team, with the exception of David Wright. Now, a couple of things. What does this have to do with Steve Cohen? I don't know. I don't know. Let me tell you something about Ray Knight. Ray Knight had a better contract offer from the Mets than what he got from the Baltimore Orioles. The Mets were offering him $800,000 for 1987. He took a 2-year deal, I think, for $400,000 from the Orioles. Why? I don't understand that. Daniel Murphy, okay, had a qualifying offer that was given to him. People forget that. He rejected it. He would have gotten more money for that 1 year than the first year that he got with the Nationals. You know. But these other guys, I mean, he just sprinkles all this insanity. What does this have to do with anything? Nothing. And then he goes on a rant, complaining about all these dead people. Complaining about M. Donald Grant. Complaining about Frank Cashin. It's irrelevant to today. It has nothing. And the hype means nothing to do with today. Look, I blame Cohen. To me, it's on the owner. Cohen's supposed to have a feel for this fan base. He walks around with the Mets hat on and the whole 9 yards. It's on you, Stevie, to get this guy back to where he belongs. But is it good business? Is it good business? I would mention about Daniel Murphy. Daniel Murphy had 6 home runs 1 year. In 2013, he didn't have a home run until August. Daniel Murphy was a terrible base runner. Daniel Murphy was a terrible fielder. Nobody knew that he was going to do what he did with the Nationals. Nobody. And he took a deal with the Nationals because he had nowhere else to go. Okay? But again, these are all players that he mentions. Seaver, Darryl, Knight, Kevin Mitchell, Daniel Murphy, Zach Wheeler, David Cohen, and Rusty Staub. They're all players that played 30, 40 years ago that have nothing to do with Steve Cohen. But because this guy is nuts, and the people at WFAN are nuts, and this is another episode of the Insane Asylum and another visit of WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha ha. They're coming to take me away, ho ho, hee hee, ha ha, to the funny fun.